Did you know that half of the UK's largest cities are at risk of collapsing in the next few decades? Sounds unbelievable, right? But it's true. Major cities that we all consider thriving hubs could soon face massive economic, social, and environmental crises that leave them struggling to survive. From rising unemployment and housing crises to crumbling infrastructures and environmental disasters, these cities are ticking time bombs, and most of us have no idea how close they are to disaster. Imagine a city where jobs are disappearing faster than ever, where thousands are being forced out of their homes because rents are skyrocketing, and where critical services like healthcare and public transport are barely hanging on by a thread. It sounds like something from a dystopian movie, but this is the grim reality for some of the UK's most well-known cities. And what's worse, this collapse could happen sooner than we think. But which cities are at the top of this danger list? Which places could literally fall apart in the near future? Stick around, because I'm about to reveal the 15 cities in the UK that are facing an impending collapse. Whether you live in one of them or are planning to, you need to know what's coming before it's too late. Trust me, you don't want to miss this, because these shocking facts will change the way you look at your city forever. Ready to find out if your city is on the edge? Let's dive in. Number 15. Coventry. Coventry, once an industrial powerhouse, is now facing a series of challenges that threaten its future. Known for its automotive industry and as a major centre for manufacturing, the city has seen a slow and steady decline since these industries started to move elsewhere. While some sectors have tried to diversify, the effects of industrial decline are still evident. One of the most pressing concerns is the city's infrastructure. Many areas are in desperate need of modernisation, and the lack of investment in public services has led to overcrowded hospitals and strained transport networks. In addition, Coventry's economy has struggled to adapt to the changing global market. The decline of its traditional industries has resulted in high unemployment rates, especially among younger generations. This, combined with an increase in social inequality, has left many residents feeling disenfranchised. But it's not all doom and gloom. Coventry is making efforts to reinvent itself, with new regeneration projects aimed at creating a more diversified and sustainable economy. However, these efforts may not be enough to overcome the legacy of industrial decline and mounting social pressures. As it stands, Coventry remains a city in transition, facing an uncertain future. Number 14. Liverpool. Liverpool, a city famous for its rich cultural heritage and vibrant port, is now grappling with several challenges that could lead to its downfall. Once a thriving hub for trade and the shipping industry, Liverpool's reliance on these sectors has left the city vulnerable to economic shifts. In recent years, global changes in shipping routes and container trade have resulted in a decline in its port activity, a crucial part of the city's economy. With the loss of its maritime strength, Liverpool has struggled to diversify its economy. While there have been efforts to boost tourism and invest in digital industries, the pace of this transformation has been slow. Many local businesses still rely on outdated models, and high unemployment rates persist, particularly in the city's poorer neighbourhoods. Another pressing issue is the ageing infrastructure. Much of the city's transport systems, housing, and public services are in desperate need of repair. The city's economic stagnation and rising costs of living are also contributing to a growing wealth gap, with the richest areas thriving while others are left behind. Despite its cultural legacy, Liverpool faces an uncertain future. While regeneration efforts are underway, the city struggles to adapt to modern economic realities, leave its survival in doubt. Number 13. Hull. Hull, once a bustling port city and a major centre for the fishing industry, is now facing significant economic and social challenges. The decline of the fishing industry, which was the backbone of Hull's economy for decades, has left a lasting impact. As fish stocks dwindled and global fishing practices changed, Hull's reliance on this industry made it vulnerable to economic downturns. Despite efforts to diversify, Hull has struggled to establish new industries that can replace the jobs lost in fishing and related sectors. While the city has seen some success in attracting businesses in renewable energy and the digital sector, these industries have not been able to create jobs at the scale needed to reverse Hull's economic decline. Unemployment remains high, and many of the city's youth are leaving in search of better opportunities. Hull's ageing infrastructure also poses a challenge. The city's housing stock is in need of major investment, and its public services are stretched thin, especially with the rising demands from an ageing population. This combination of economic stagnation and infrastructure decay makes Hull one of the cities at risk of a significant collapse in the near future. While some regeneration projects are in motion, they may not be enough to turn the tide. Number 12. Birmingham. Birmingham, once a thriving industrial powerhouse at the heart of the UK's manufacturing sector, is now facing a set of challenges that threaten its future. The city's rapid post-industrial expansion has resulted in significant overcrowding and growing inequality. Despite efforts to regenerate areas like the city centre, Birmingham's infrastructure is struggling to keep up with the demands of a fast-growing population. Public transport and road networks are often congested, and the housing market is under pressure, with skyrocketing rents pushing many lower-income families out of the city. The decline of traditional industries, such as manufacturing and engineering, has left a gap that Birmingham has been slow to fill. While the city has seen some success in attracting tech and service industries, these sectors have not created enough job opportunities for all its residents. The unemployment rate remains high, particularly among the city's younger population, which is increasingly feeling disillusioned by the lack of career prospects. Social unrest is on the rise, with protests and demonstrations highlighting the growing divide between the city's wealthy areas and its struggling neighbourhoods. With a widening wealth gap, Birmingham risks facing long-term economic and social instability if these issues are not addressed soon. Number 11. Sheffield. Sheffield, once the heart of the UK's steel industry, now finds itself grappling with the aftermath of its industrial decline. The city's reliance on steel production meant that when global demand dropped and industries modernised, Sheffield was left in a difficult position. While there have been efforts to transition to new industries, such as digital and creative sectors, these initiatives have not fully compensated for the loss of jobs and economic activity. As a result, Sheffield is facing persistent unemployment, particularly in areas that once thrived on steel manufacturing. The youth demographic is most affected, with many young people leaving the city in search of opportunities elsewhere. The lack of sufficient investment in alternative industries and infrastructure has hindered economic recovery, leaving Sheffield stuck in a cycle of stagnation. Additionally, the city is experiencing an infrastructure crisis. Many parts of Sheffield, especially the outer districts, have seen little development, and ageing transport systems make it difficult for the city to connect effectively. The housing market is under pressure, with many homes in need of renovation, further contributing to the social divide. Though Sheffield has potential with its green spaces and cultural heritage, without significant intervention, the city may continue to struggle in the face of economic decline. Number 10. Bradford. Bradford, once known as the wool capital of the world, is now facing a future filled with uncertainty. After the collapse of the textile industry, which provided jobs for generations, the city has struggled to reinvent itself. While Bradford has made strides in attracting investment in sectors like digital technology, the pace of diversification has been slow, and the city's economy still relies heavily on industries that are no longer as lucrative. One of the most pressing issues in Bradford is its ageing population and the increasing levels of poverty, which are particularly felt in areas that were once industrial hubs. The city also grapples with a growing housing crisis, with many areas dealing with overcrowded and substandard living conditions. Local businesses continue to struggle, and youth unemployment remains high, with many young people unable to find stable, well-paying jobs. Bradford's infrastructure is another area of concern. While parts of the city have been regenerated, many neighbourhoods remain neglected, with underdeveloped transport systems and poor quality housing. Additionally, social tensions have been rising, exacerbated by the economic disparity and the feeling that Bradford is being left behind in the broader regional development, unless significant investment is made in both its economy and infrastructure. Bradford may face an increasingly uncertain future. Number 9. Leeds. Leeds, a city known for its vibrant financial services sector and rich history, is now facing a set of challenges that could jeopardise its future. While the city has managed to attract significant investment in recent decades, particularly in banking and finance, its over-reliance on these industries has made it vulnerable to economic shifts. A downturn in the global financial market or regulatory changes could have a devastating impact on Leeds, potentially leading to mass unemployment and a loss of key industries. Additionally, Leeds is grappling with a growing wealth divide. The city has seen considerable gentrification in certain areas, which has led to rising property prices and rents, further alienating lower-income residents. Meanwhile, many of the city's more deprived neighbourhoods continue to face high unemployment rates and limited access to quality education and healthcare. Another concern for Leeds is its infrastructure. Despite being one of the UK's largest cities, Leeds struggles with congestion, outdated public transport systems, and inadequate housing. The demand for affordable housing is outstripping supply, contributing to the city's growing social and economic disparity. While Leeds is home to a wealth of cultural assets and economic potential, it must diversify its economy and address social inequalities in order to avoid falling into a spiral of decline. Number 8. Stoke-on-Trent. Stoke-on-Trent, once a thriving centre of pottery manufacturing, is now facing a series of challenges that threaten its economic stability. The city's reliance on the ceramics industry, which has been in decline for decades, has left it struggling to diversify its economy. Despite some efforts to promote sectors like retail and digital services, these industries have not created enough job opportunities to offset the loss of traditional manufacturing work. As a result, Stoke-on-Trent continues to experience high levels of unemployment, particularly in its younger population. In addition to economic challenges, the city faces significant infrastructure issues. Many of Stoke-on-Trent's public services, including transport networks and housing, are outdated and in dire need of investment. Overcrowding is a growing concern, with limited affordable housing options available for those struggling to make ends meet. Social inequality is also a pressing issue, with stark contrasts between affluent areas and those that have been left behind in the wake of industrial decline. Educational opportunities are limited, and many young people are forced to leave the city in search of better prospects. Without a clear plan for economic diversification and infrastructure improvement, Stoke-on-Trent risks becoming a city in long-term decline. Number 7. Nottingham. Nottingham, a city renowned for its historical significance and cultural vibrancy, is now grappling with several issues that threaten its future stability. Once a centre of the textile industry, Nottingham has shifted its focus to sectors like education, retail, and digital industries. However, the pace of economic diversification has been slower than needed, leaving many areas of the city dependent on industries that are no longer as competitive or sustainable in today's economy. A major concern for Nottingham is its infrastructure. The city is experiencing rapid population growth, but its public transport, roads, and housing are struggling to keep up with demand. Overcrowded neighbourhoods and skyrocketing rents have pushed many residents into poorer conditions, making it difficult for lower-income families to thrive. Youth unemployment is another critical issue, with many young people finding it difficult to secure stable, well-paid jobs in the city. This economic insecurity is contributing to social unrest, as more residents feel left behind in the face of increasing living costs. Although Nottingham has made strides in attracting new businesses and projects, the city still faces an uphill battle to fully modernise its economy and infrastructure. If these challenges aren't addressed, Nottingham could see its future growth potential severely limited. Number 6. Manchester. Manchester, a city once synonymous with industrial revolution and global trade, is now facing a series of challenges that could hinder its future success. While it has successfully reinvented itself in recent years, shifting towards sectors like tech, media, and higher education, there are signs that Manchester's rapid growth may be reaching a tipping point. The city's economy is heavily reliant on the service sector, particularly finance and media, which leaves it vulnerable to shifts in global markets and economic recessions. One of the city's biggest concerns is its infrastructure. Manchester has experienced rapid urbanisation, leading to overcrowded streets and stretched public services. The city's transport systems, although improving, still struggle with congestion, and the housing market has become increasingly unaffordable for many residents. Property prices in some areas have skyrocketed, pushing lower-income families out of the city centre. Social inequality is growing, with a widening gap between wealthy areas and struggling neighbourhoods. Youth unemployment remains high, and many young people are leaving the city in search of opportunities elsewhere. While Manchester continues to attract investment and innovation, the lack of affordable housing, economic disparity, and infrastructure issues could slow its progress. If these challenges aren't addressed soon, Manchester could face long-term economic and social instability. Number 5. Bristol. Bristol, known for its vibrant tech industry and thriving creative sector, is facing some significant challenges that could undermine its future growth. Despite being one of the UK's leading cities in terms of innovation and economic potential, Bristol's rapid rise in property prices is causing serious concern. The city's property market is overheating, with skyrocketing rents and home prices making it increasingly difficult for middle and lower income residents to afford to live there. This housing crisis has led to growing inequality, as wealthier individuals are able to secure housing while others are pushed into less desirable areas. Bristol is also heavily reliant on its tech and aerospace industries. While these sectors have brought investment and job opportunities, the city's economy is vulnerable to global market shifts. A downturn in the tech bubble or changes in the aerospace industry could have a devastating impact on the local economy. Additionally, infrastructure challenges persist, especially when it comes to public transport. Traffic congestion is a growing issue, and the city's aging transport system struggles to meet the needs of its expanding population. If Bristol doesn't manage its housing market and diversify its industries further, it could face long-term economic instability and social unrest. Number 4. London. London, the capital city of the UK, is facing a range of challenges that could significantly impact its future. As the financial heart of the country, London has long been a hub for business, culture, and politics. However, its reliance on the financial sector makes it highly vulnerable to global economic shifts. Any downturn in global markets or disruption in the financial industry could have far-reaching consequences, not only for London, but for the entire UK economy. One of the city's most pressing concerns is the skyrocketing cost of living. Housing prices have become unaffordable for many residents, and the growing wealth gap between the rich and the poor is widening. While parts of the city are thriving, many areas, particularly in the outer boroughs, are experiencing rising poverty, unemployment, and social unrest. Additionally, London is facing significant infrastructure pressures. The city's transport systems are struggling to keep up with its growing population, leading to overcrowding and delays. With climate change and rising sea levels threatening parts of the city, London must also invest in resilient infrastructure to ensure its long-term sustainability. While London remains a global powerhouse, its increasing challenges, economic instability, inequality, and infrastructure strains pose a serious risk to its continued success if not addressed. Number 3. Glasgow. Glasgow, Scotland's largest city, has long been an industrial and cultural hub, but it now faces a number of critical challenges that could impede its future growth. Once the centre of shipbuilding and heavy industry, Glasgow has struggled to reinvent itself after the collapse of these sectors in the 20th century. Although the city has made strides in fields like education, healthcare, and financial services, it remains heavily dependent on industries that are vulnerable to market changes and global shifts. A major issue for Glasgow is its economic disparity. The city's wealth gap is significant, with affluent areas thriving while poorer neighbourhoods continue to face high unemployment, poor health outcomes, and limited access to quality education. This inequality is contributing to social unrest and rising tensions within the city. Glasgow is also experiencing an infrastructure crisis. Many parts of the city, particularly outside the central areas, suffer from ageing housing, underdeveloped transport links, and inadequate public services. The city's rapid urbanisation has outpaced its ability to upgrade its infrastructure, which is becoming increasingly strained. Without significant investment in economic diversification, infrastructure, and social equity, Glasgow risks falling into a cycle of stagnation, potentially facing long-term decline if its challenges remain unaddressed. Number 2. Edinburgh. Edinburgh, Scotland's capital, is renowned for its historical significance, culture, and thriving tourism industry. However, despite its many assets, the city faces challenges that threaten its future stability. One of the most pressing issues is its over-reliance on tourism. While Edinburgh's festivals and landmarks attract millions of visitors every year, the local economy is heavily dependent on an industry vulnerable to disruptions, such as global economic downturns or unforeseen events like the pandemic. A downturn in tourism could have catastrophic effects on the city's economy. In addition to tourism dependency, Edinburgh is struggling with a housing crisis. The city has seen rapid population growth, pushing demand for housing to unsustainable levels. Property prices have soared, making it increasingly difficult for locals to afford to live in the city. Young people and families are being priced out, leading to a growing divide between wealthier areas and working-class neighbourhoods. Furthermore, Edinburgh's ageing infrastructure is in dire need of investment. While the city is modernising in some ways, its public transport and road systems are often congested and inefficient, making daily life increasingly challenging for residents. If Edinburgh doesn't diversify its economy, address its housing crisis, and modernise its infrastructure, it may struggle to maintain its position as one of the UK's leading cities. Number 1. Portsmouth. Portsmouth, a historic naval city, is facing a bleak future due to a range of economic and social challenges that threaten its stability. Once the heart of the UK's naval industry, Portsmouth's economy has struggled to adapt to the changing global landscape. With defence budgets tightening and naval shipbuilding increasingly moving abroad, the city's long-standing reliance on the military and maritime industries has left it vulnerable to economic decline. The loss of these key industries has resulted in significant job cuts and a rise in unemployment, particularly among those who worked in these sectors. Portsmouth's lack of diversification has compounded its struggles. While the city has made efforts to attract industries like tourism and digital services, these sectors have not been able to replace the wealth and employment that the naval industry once provided. Economic growth has stagnated, and many local businesses continue to face tough conditions. The city's infrastructure is also in dire need of improvement. Portsmouth suffers from overcrowded housing, underfunded public services, and traffic congestion. The city's ageing infrastructure has struggled to keep pace with population growth, creating further challenges for its residents. Without a strong plan for economic diversification and investment in infrastructure, Portsmouth risks a prolonged period of decline that could have lasting consequences for its future. So there you have it, the 15 cities in the UK that are facing potential collapse. From economic struggles and social inequality to environmental disasters and aging infrastructures, these cities are fighting battles that could drastically change the way we live in them. The truth is, many of these cities are already showing signs of decline, and if they don't adapt quickly, they may not recover in time. But don't panic, there's still hope. With the right investments and reforms, many of these cities could still pull through and thrive once again. The key is awareness, action, and innovation. So what do you think? Are you living in one of these cities, or maybe you have insights or concerns about the future of your area? Let's start a conversation in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, experiences, and if you agree with this list. If you found this video eye-opening and valuable, don't forget to show some love by hitting that subscribe button. It's just one click, but it makes all the difference. Your support helps us keep bringing you the best content. And hey, drop a comment and let us know what city you'd like us to explore next. We put tons of effort into these videos, and your feedback means everything.